love between my brothers and sisters all over this land. Quiet bell ringing in the morning, ringing in the evening, all over this land. I ring out danger, I ring out warning, I ring out that love between my brothers and sisters all over this land. I had a song, I sang it in the morning, I sang it in the evening, all over this land. I sang of danger, I sang of warning, I sang about love between my brothers and sisters all over this land. Song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the hammer of freedom, it's the song of love between brothers and sisters all over this
Thank you very much. Thank you guys. All right, just a few quick announcements. First off, thanks to Joe Lee and Charlene Parker last week putting on our charcuterie board workshop. It was a great success. Unfortunately, I missed it, but Jesse was there, and I got all kinds of pictures, so it went very well. So thank you guys for showing up for that. Excuse me. Next week, we're going to have a resiliency workshop right after the service, sponsored by the Clinton Foundation. Jesse's been working with them, with several people here in the congregation, so we'll have some speakers. So yeah, make plans to stay after the service for that next week.
Catered.
Oh yeah, it's going to be catered.
Yes.
Yes, food will be here, so that, just a little more incentive there to show up. Also, the following week, June 8th, Right after the service, we're going to also have a catered lunch there on June 8th. Then the Ukrainians are coming in for a concert. So please make plans on June 8th. There'll be a wonderful concert benefit for them. They'll bring their goodies and everything, have fundraisers, baked goods. So show up for June 8th concert. And then June 21st, a National Yoga Day. That's on Saturday. We're going to do, we had a workshop with Sky Breathing with our Art of Living partners last week, and there was a yoga instructor with us, and he wants to just do some free yoga on that Saturday. We'll have flyers and more information about that, but we'll have yoga, we'll have food, we'll have a bunch of stuff on that Saturday, and we'll keep you posted on that. All right?
What's the date?
That is June 21st.
Yeah, that'll be a nice summertime event. Yeah, so definitely come out to all of the events and come out to the one on Saturday, bring your family. We were even talking about maybe getting a food truck out that Saturday, so that'll be fun. All right, good morning, everybody. If you will, prepare your hearts and minds for affirmative prayer. I want to read this morning's daily word. Again, to subscribe is only like $6.99 for the year, I believe. So it's good to have that inspiration, whether it's in your phone or through the booklet. Get you started off right. Today's daily word is comforted. And the quote is, "I am comforted knowing God's presence is a blessing now and always." And with that, join me for affirmative prayer. In this sacred space, we give thanks for the ability to be here. We give thanks that the day is beautiful and everything is already in divine order. So as we wake up into this day, as we wake up into this moment, we open our minds and hearts to receive the experience of God and the experience of good, knowing that all of our labor and all of our works is not in vain. We speak blessings on those that are here who help to make this service what it is, an experience of upliftedness and positivity and light and love. We speak blessings on who we have to be when we walk out of these doors, Monday through Friday, knowing that the skills and the talent and the ability and the gifts that we need to express in the world will already be there. And we allow this prayer consciousness to rest and matriculate throughout this building. We get ourselves on out of the way and we make room for God. And so it is. Amen.
Hi. Everybody with us on? It's not working. Hello? Oh. Well, I'm going to sing a couple of sort of anti-war hippie songs from from my era back in the 60s. So Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Something's wrong here. Where? What? Oh, yeah? Should I do that first? I'd like to do an original song in honor of kids whose fathers died in combat before they were born. And it's called It's called Anzio, and over 5,000 American troops were killed on the beach at Anzio in Italy during World War II. Father died before I was born. I never even saw him. Father died at Anzio. Call him my father, but he's gone, yeah, he's gone. Oh, great Lordy, Lord, he's gone. Father died at Anzio, call him my father. He died to save his comrade's soul. Call him a hero, but he's gone, yeah, he's gone. Oh, great Lordy, Lord, he's gone. You know they said a metal down, made it blue and silver gold. The highest honor, so they say, that this country can bestow. But he's gone, yeah, he's gone. Oh, great Lord, Lord, he's gone. I dream there is a heaven, and I dreamed I made it there. And I went looking for him up those pearly stairs. And in my dream I found him by a cotton candy cloud. I saw he crossed out and waved and smiled at me, and I yelled out so and I called him Father, oh, and I called him Father, oh. No? No? Meditation. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do.
Neither do I. And that's the truth. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Well, I'm glad to see everybody here on this holiday. So, how was your week? Was it a long week? A short week? Are you glad to have this time off? Maybe you don't have any time off. I'm sorry if you don't. You know, sometimes it's good not to have anywhere to go. Have a day where you don't have to do anything, see anybody, or just have time to do what you want to do. And that might be absolutely nothing, because sometimes we don't have time just to be. We don't have time to be still and know. All of us are familiar with this quote from Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, we hope. But people will never forget how you made them feel. So with this quote in mind, what I want you to do is go inside and think about a time somebody made you feel really good. It may have been a stranger. It may have been a family member. Just think of a time and get into that moment and that feeling of how good you felt. And it may have simply been a smile from somebody you were not expecting to get a smile from. Or an acceptance. Or a thank you. Now hold that energy. And as times come up when you get in conversations where you say things too quickly, or the conversation, let's say, gets heated, you're on opposing sides about something, I want you to think about this feeling you have right now of how somebody made you feel really special or really good at some point. And try to recapture that feeling in the moment of stress so that you respond to the person from a place of peace, love, of good feeling about yourself and others. I would like for everybody to repeat the Akashic record of the Lord's Prayer. I'll say the first line, and then I'll say it again with you. I am the principal creator.
I am the principal creator.
Hallowed is the name I am.
Hallowed is the name I am.
I am the kingdom come.
I am the kingdom come.
I am will being done.
I am will being done.
I am on earth even as I am in all kingdoms.
I
am on earth even as I am in all kingdoms. I am this day giving life to all creation.
I am this day giving life to all creation.
Even as I am all creation giving life to me.
Even as I am all creation giving life to me.
I am this day releasing all doubt.
I am this day releasing all doubt.
Even as I am all doubt releasing me.
Even as I am all doubt releasing me.
Let's repeat that last part. Even as I am all doubt releasing me. I am the sovereign witness to my unfolding.
I am the sovereign witness to my unfolding.
I am the power.
I am the power.
And I am the glory.
And I am the glory.
From everlasting.
From everlasting.
Unto everlasting.
Unto everlasting.
All this.
All this.
I am.
I am.
And I'll repeat this one more time. I've learned that people will forget what you said.
I've learned that people will forget what you said.
People will forget what you did.
People will forget what you did.
But people will never forget how you made them feel.
But people will never forget how you made them feel.
Make somebody feel good today.
Make somebody feel good today.
Thank you for that. That is so true. Just to stay right there in that same energy. Charles Fillmore said that prayer is the highest form of mind action, And what he meant by that was prayer is how we lift ourselves up or downward, however you experience it, to God. I beseech you, brethren, the mystic Paul, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And the way you do that is to lift yourself up. We present ourselves as sacrifices all week long. We sacrifice for the people we love. We give up our comfort to our children, to those jobs, those responsibilities, all of the things that accommodate us. Even the traffic, which tells us to drive at 70 and we really want to drive at 90. So we accommodate the traffic police. But in this moment, take some time to be good to yourself. Prayer is oftentimes talking, but meditation is deep listening. What does God have to say to me today? And if you want to take it a step further, you become the very voice of God speaking back to yourself. Or in the words of the presence of God to Moses, Moses, I will be to you what you are to me, metaphorically speaking, and I will that Aaron would be a prophet to you. In other words, the voice of God, the presence of God, the words of God are great, but they're only alive and active until and when you speak them. So they must become real to you, which is why we say I am. We're not talking about the personality, the part of us that comes as a result of brain connections. We're talking about your spirit, your consciousness, the divine spark, your soul, that spot of where you are that God, has to be, that connects you with all things. When you unite with that through your I am power, by declaring I am, you embrace your oneness with God, which is what we, I believe, need to do more of. Accept your divine birthright. So with me, as we allow our minds to become open to the awareness that the presence of God is here and that's enough, that goodness is here, that life is here, that all things are working together for my highest good, even when I can't see it, even during the times where I don't believe it. Because my belief is not for God, my belief is for me. God is going to do it anyway. I might as well enjoy it by partnering with the presence of God, by choosing to believe it to be so. Allow it to be good. Be good to yourself. Make a declaration, as the meditator said, to be good to somebody else today. But definitely be good to you today. And when you're ready, take a deep breath into the nose. Let go of the world. Release the sound of ah. Let go of the weight of the world. Every stumbling block, everything that gets in the way between you and your happiness, you and your peace. Because God can do more through you when you are happy and relaxed in that peace. And so it is, and so it is. If you will, rub your hands together. Let's send this healing energy to those that are online. Say this with me. Divine love in us blesses and multiplies all that you hear and all that you receive. Know in this moment you are safe and loved. And so it is. Our ministry is supported by partners like you. Remember to log on to unitybham.org and click on giving. Moderators are always on standby before and after the service. So wherever you see this message, either on Facebook, YouTube, or our website, post your comments in the chat box and we will pray for you and your family. And if you are in need of prayer support and you are here in the house, we do have our prayer chaplains here spread around the room. Put your hands together for our prayer chaplains. Prayer chaplaincy is a beautiful ministry because it's an arm of the minister. Sacred text tells us to forsake not the gathering of ourselves together, but once you come together, what do? You pray for one another, you support one another. And all of us have different gifts and different administrations of the gifts, but prayer chaplains are specifically identified to help support the ministry, to support you. So if you are in need of personal prayer, seek out the prayer chaplains. If you just want someone, as they said, to touch and agree, 2 or 3 are gathered together, I am in the midst. It's like, I don't have the words today. Can you just hold my hand and believe with me? And that will be enough. Because say this with me, we need each other. There is so much power in community. I read a quote on the way here. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because I was driving. There was a quote that I came across sometime between leaving the house and coming here. And it says, "A shaky hand can still make a fist." So whether you are nervous, whether you have anxiety or anxiousness, whatever you feel may be your barrier to life or barrier to the experience of God, I want you to know on behalf of everyone sitting here that you're not alone. You're not alone in your feelings of the barriers of life, because sometimes our barriers do feel like they get the best of us. You know, you ever look at yourself and be like, oh, why am I like this today? I wish this feeling would go away. But, say this with me, but God. The experience of taking up yourself and carrying yourself, or taking up your bed and walk, can sound like punishment. But, believe it or not, all of who you are can be a lens by which the presence of God or the presence of life gets to you. Because one of the things I have noticed is that when I am dealing with my personal barriers, I'm still breathing. So life has not put my prerequisites in front of itself to bar me from breathing. So with my barriers, I still have access to life. So my barriers are only as limiting as I choose to see them as being so. Brene Brown wrote a book called The Gifts of Imperfection. That is a mouthful. The Gifts of Imperfection. Where it don't feel like a gift right now. Well, just stick with it long enough. Because there are some visitors that come and they stay for a minute. Some feelings and emotions, they come and go. Just like people, some people come and go, and that's all right. But there are some things that come, and no matter how hard you try, they just will not leave. It's like you get that relative, oh, I'm in town for a week. And then a week passes, you're like, don't you have a job? You ain't got to go to work. You don't want to go back home? Nah, I'm good. I got some extended PTO. So they never leave. Our barriers are a lot like that. They come and then they stay, and they're sometimes a part of us. They're a part of our story. But I was told a long time ago that sometimes the things that make us most miserable can oftentimes be our ministry, because they are the tool, by whatever name you want to call it, that we utilize to make our way through the world. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to understand what led us here. And even if you don't get an answer to that question with that tool in hand, you can at least make the declaration that I'm going to use this and do some good. I'm going to do what I can to use this life of mine to help others so that this tool won't be a barrier for them. And for the people that have this particular barrier, I'm going to stand side by side and shoulder to shoulder with them so that they won't feel alone. Because it's one thing to have your barriers and to have your burdens. It's another thing to be alone with them. Say this with me. You are not. That's why I encourage everybody to find community. Whether it's the physical space, the digital space, or some combination of both. Find community, because when you plug into individuals, it gives you a moment to step out of yourself. There are some aspects of our story that are marvelous. In fact, they're so good, we want to put that thing on repeat. It's like, I want to watch this again. This was good. And there are other things we rather fast forward. Like, let's just skip that part. Let's just skip that part. But when you find your community, you can step outside of your story and step into the story of another person. I say this all the time, that for those that are into spiritual mysticism, that astral traveling isn't just stepping outside of your body. Astral traveling really is learning to live through the lens of someone else, to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to walk a mile in their shoes. And when you do so and come back to yours, there's a different experience there. You have a different relationship with your own life because you've moved yourself out of the way temporarily. And maybe, if I could just put it out there, that might be the thing we need. Say this with me: breathing space. So let this experience, let this moment today be breathing space for you. Just a moment for you to let it all go, to step away from all of it, even the good stuff. Just step away from it all for a moment. And when you come back to it, you are born again. That's what sacred text was saying, being born from above, being born anew. You get refreshed. You know, we can shower and wash our physical bodies, but how do you wash the soul? You know, how do you shower the mind? We go into moments of silence. We go to retreats. We engage in physical activities to quiet the mind and quiet down our thoughts. But communities like this, where we're experiencing sitting together as spiritual family, we're listening to music and we're socializing in the lobby, it gives us a chance to get the things that we need for our heart, our mind, and our soul. After all, if we can summarize the teachings of Jesus, it's to love God, love yourself, and to love your neighbor. Those three things you get in community, and they support a healthy adulthood. At least I think so. Ask me in 20 years. Can we say amen to that? Good morning, everybody, again. So this week, as we sort of wrap up the last of our series on personal power, say this with me, personal power.
Personal power.
I want to invite you into a conversation while I have your attention about the notion of learning and growth. Say this with me, learning and growth.
Learning and growth.
For those that have access to the flyer, I believe it's growth and development. But learning, growth, and development, it's all the same thing. But learning and growth, it happens over time. I don't know about you, but I have a patience problem. When I want something, I want it now. I told the joke last week, everybody remembers the commercial, I need money and I need it now. But learning and growth happens in stages. So to tie in all of the stuff that I said earlier, even our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with each other, the people that we love, all of those experiences, the expectations that we have, people and all of us, we rise up to those expectancies over time. In other words, people don't change overnight. We don't change overnight. So why is it that we kind of expect life to do so overnight, right? And expectancy is powerful, right? I'm not a part of the camp that believes that we should drop our expectancy because expectancy is the reason why we're unhappy. I think that expectancy is important. I'm of the mind of Charles Fillmore. He said in 1916, in one of his talks on truth, the newer edition was in the 60s, but the original was in 1916. And he said, imagination is a powerful thing. He said, it catapults you out of your physical experience. And he equates spiritual enlightenment with imagination and inspiration because it lifts you up and makes you feel good. Those expectancies that we have for life, it helps us to feel good because we have to move out of our circumstances, Like me and the brother was saying in the back, we got to get out of bed. we have to get up out of our circumstances. We have to get away from it all sometimes. And this is a timely message because I know summertime is approaching and that's when everybody normally gets away. So this is your support for getting away. But getting away is a good thing because that expectancy that we have, we get a chance to live in that space. But the hard part is coming back down to earth. It's like, I just came back from vacation. I got to come back to this. Or we're having this conversation again just to bring it home. Why are we talking about this? Or why are we dealing with this again? Whatever your this may be. Say this affirmation with me. Change and growth happens over time. Sometimes it looks like one step forward and another step backwards. Sometimes it looks like one step forward and you fall backwards. But that relapsing is a part of the recovery process. Because it's built into our nature. We're not machines and we're not robots. But when we have that energy, those days when we're highly caffeinated and we had our juices and our medicine. We're going to do it all. And you might have enough energy on Monday to do it all. But what about Wednesday? How are you going to feel on the other? Well, we ain't going to talk about that. I'll see when I get on the other side of that. But a part of that growth plan and that change plan that we have, especially as adults, as you learn to sort of manage yourself and manage your circumstances and manage your life, you realize over time that, hey, although I have enough in the tank today, I'm not going to spend it all. Like my mom used to tell me, that money going to burn a hole in your pocket. I got money, I'm ready to go to the store now. Well, I don't feel like getting up now, so we'll go to the store later. You'll be okay. But that energy to bring it home and enthusiasm and excitement and all of the things that we have within us to do the things we need to do in our life, that's supposed to be there. That's not the problem. The problem isn't the burning enthusiasm. The problem isn't the vision you have in your head for your life. The problem isn't the vision you have in your head for your family or your child or the people that you love. Because if you give them time, life, yourself, people around you included, they will get there. Even if they get there and you are not around to see it. That's the hard part about life, right? Who remembers what they had for lunch yesterday? Somebody say yes. Who remembers what they had for lunch last year? You get the point. That depth of insight is just something that we are wired to have when we're doing visioning processes. But just in our general natural state, sometimes we can't see between here and there. So the presence of life, all of our practices are there to help us to build the resiliency, to hold out, to give ourselves enough time to grow into the things we need to grow into, to give enough people to grow and mature into who they're supposed to be, or to give our life and career and circumstances and everything around us enough time and space to grow and change. But say this again, growth happens over time. To kind of bring this deeper into spiritual conversation, sacred text says that the Hebrews, the children of Israel, however you describe that nation, wandered around the wilderness for 40 years, metaphorically speaking. Can you imagine having to wait 40 years for something to happen? 40 years for people to change. It's like, man, you got like 6 months. 40 years. And 40 is a significant number, and especially in biblical spirituality, because 40 is the number of maturity. It's the age by which you were initiated into various mysteries and mysticism. That's why Moses was called at a particular age. In Kabbalah, which is the mystical aspect of Judaism, you didn't even discuss Kabbalah or some of the mystical arms of the spiritual practice until you were 40. They wanted to give you enough time to mature and to go out and to experience life so you could have something to balance it against. And this isn't a justification for all of the uncomfortable experiences that we've encountered in life, but I do feel compelled to say this, that those uncomfortable experiences, not the completely, just explicitly traumatic ones, but some of the just uncomfortable human stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It was almost, I don't want to say a necessity because that justifies it, but it's almost good that we have something to compare the goodness of life against because we do appreciate it more. And it gives us a barrier, or it gives us a barometer so that we can measure other people's growth as well. What are you talking about, preacher? Because I know how long it took me to get to this point, I can assume that maybe it'll take others to get there as well. I know how hard this was for me, so maybe I should be compassionate towards other people. Because I realize that people are human just like myself. And that opens my mind to the possibility that sometimes the things I want don't happen fast. Because y'all know that saying, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to, go far, take somebody with you. And the hardest thing that we do in life is negotiating that. Saying, I want to do this by myself. We walk out on friendships. We walk out on partnerships, on business opportunities because they're not moving fast enough for me, right? God knows I have walked out on friendships. Oh, my friends are looking at this. I've walked out on friendships because I'm like, I ain't got time to be on the phone for 2 hours, right? But say this with me, you got to give people a chance. Because growth happens over time. And what if, just what if, the very thing that we're grumbling and complaining about and we're pointing on the outside, what if we're also a part of that too? What if through this circumstance that I'm interpreting as bad that's happening to me, what if it's actually working for my good? It's showing me things about human nature, about the possibilities of people. In some cases, it's making us wiser because now we know people's capacity. So when things do happen, we just say, it's just people being people. We start to not take everything personally, right? And we do have our seasons and our moments where everything bad that happens, it's, oh my God, My new favorite word, catastrophizing. Everybody know catastrophizing. This happened, but no, you're going to talk about it all day long. What about all of this that happened during your day? Yeah, that's fine. I want to talk about this. But our energy flows in the direction our attention flows. So my invitation is that we focus on, as the meditator said, something good. That's the old song, tell me something. I know what y'all listen to. Come on now. Right? Because when you focus on this, you miss out on so much of the growth opportunity. And much of our growth as adults, it happens internally. We grow in patience. We grow in wisdom. We grow in understanding. We grow in compassion. We grow in tolerance, right? There will be days, me too, where your tolerance is at negative 25, where you're on edge. That is a sign that you need to take care of yourself. Eat. Get some sleep. You know, one of the first things the presence of God said to the prophet Elijah when he was running from Jezebel, when he woke him up, he said, eat, drink, wake up. Take care of your physical body. Because by taking care of yourself and giving yourself the basic needs, you have what you need in order to continue running your race. But to get back to my point, growth happens over time. We have to adopt the mindset that we're going to get there. The world is going to get there. It's just going to take some time. To wrap this conversation we're having into a complete spiritual text, I want to point your attention to the book of Acts. Acts, I believe it was around the 9th chapter, verses 1 through 9. It's the story of the conversion of Paul. Everybody remembers Paul from the New Testament story. Some scholars say that he's called Saul early on, that's his actual name, Saul of Tarsus. Later on, we call him Paul. The reason why this guy has two names, scholars go back and forth, but the truth is most people had two names who moved out of different cultures. He had what was called a Jewish or Hebrew name, and then he had a Greek name. So we call him most of the time by his Greek name, Paul. But sacred text says that Paul was on the road to Damascus and he experienced what he called a bright light. And that bright light knocked him off of his horse. And just to pause there, I know you all have encountered it too, but situations, circumstances, people, things sometimes can just knock us off of our high horses. And those high horses are our assumptions, the things that we believe should happen, and you know what they say about assumptions. And if you don't know, I'll tell you off camera. But things happen sometimes to knock us off of those assumptions. Because, and here's the overarching principle, that growth and change happens over time. That people can be more than one way, that multiple things can be true at the same time. And I got to tell you, as an adult, that was one of the ones that really took me for a loop. Because 19 to 25, I thought it was either black or white. But multiple things can be true at the same time. And that is a lesson I believe that we learn perpetually throughout our lifetime, right? So those uncomfortable experiences that are a direct result of the stuff that we encounter in life, they can be good for us because they change our assumptions. The spiritual work is to not let them change us for the worse. So you don't let your heart be hardened when the things you're looking forward to make you feel like you should stop looking forward. Don't harden your heart when people don't live up to your expectations and do the things you expected them to do. Don't harden your heart when the will to do is stronger within you than the physical part that needs to come in order for you to do the thing that you wanted to do. Who had New Year's resolutions in January? Where are those resolutions right now? Right? But say this again, growth and change happens over time. So Paul was knocked off of his high horse and his assumptions about life changed. And here is the most serious part. Y'all ready? Paul converted or changed not because of a conversation. And that right there should save a lot of us, because sometimes we feel that if we have a conversation about it, the change and the growth will happen in the moment. And it doesn't oftentimes happen. Change and growth a lot of times happens with us, especially as adults, when the circumstances of life show up and knock on our door. And then there's a buy-in. So Paul, being as responsible as he was, as educated as they said at the feet of Gamaliel, a Pharisee of Pharisee, trained in Greek and Roman and all kind of letters, all of that information he had wasn't enough to compel him to change. What compelled him to change was a direct experience. And he saw for himself that where I am isn't suitable for where I'm trying to go. And then he changed. He went full on. 2/3 of the New Testament is written by him, so he changed a whole lot. But if you read some of his letters, we see that he still struggled with misogyny. Women should keep silent in the church. If they have any questions, go home and ask their husbands. He still had a whole lot of changing to do, right? And we can see other things. This thorn in my flesh, oh, I wish God would get rid of it. And we still today don't know what the thorn in his flesh is, but we have our assumptions. So even though Paul made this drastic change, he still had huge growth potentials that if he were alive today, he would probably be canceled. Because some of the things he said were not quite right. In other words, this doesn't justify his misogyny or him as a person. Paul was human too. So multiple things can be true at the same time. And you know, the spiritual practice that really helps us to integrate all of this information? Reflection. Every day at the end of your day, you reflect on how you showed up. And it's not an opportunity to beat yourself up, but it's to see where your growing edges are. To see, maybe I shouldn't have been as sarcastic. Or, that was a really good joke, I probably should have said it anyway, it was funny. Right? Or maybe I could have been more compassionate. Or maybe I was too compassionate and I got walked over and taken advantage of. But through daily reflection, which is connected to our spiritual practice, and weekly reflection, we can see how we show up. And like the mystic Paul, we can make the necessary changes in the moment that can sometimes help us to get from where we are to where we need to be. Last quote, borrowed this from Instagram. This is a powerful one, and I think it ties into the message today. For some of us that are struggling about doing the right thing or the next thing, substitute that for doing the right thing in this moment. What's the next right thing? What's the next step? What do I need to do next? Because our growth potential is measured in steps. This is why sacred text says the steps of a good person is ordered by spirit. So while we're trying to figure out the divine plan and looking at things holistically, the presence of life, the presence of God is looking at your next step. So this next move is on you. My ask is that you take God with you when you do it. Take compassion and grace when you do it. And all of your efforts will result in light. Thank you for listening. Our offering, for those that tune in online, remember to log on to unitybham.org and click on giving. Those that give in-house, our ushers are making their way forward to collect.
Okay, we're gonna have a sing-along. Okay, it's a very complicated song. It's okay, flowers, young girls, young men, soldiers, graveyards, and then flowers again. So it's not that much. Where have all the flowers gone? This is written by Pete Seeger. Oh, where all the young men go, on to the soldiers, everyone. When will we ever learn? When will where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Oh, where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to the graveyards, everyone. When will they ever come back? When will they I was born to be my soul. All that passing, where have all the graveyards gone? All time ago. Oh, where have all the graveyards gone? On to the flowers, everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? When will they ever learn?
All right, let's bless the offering, if you will. Point your hands in the direction of the offering basket. Say this with me. We bless this offering. Affirming will be used for the building of this ministry. We bless the givers, and we declare their gifts will return back to them with good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Put your hands together one more time.
As we can all stand for Let There Be Peace on Earth. Prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is.
Wherever I am, God is.
And all is well. Thank you much.